Your next comedian is another favorite, so funny. Please give it up for Allison Hooker!
Oh my God, what is going on, Tiny Pony? How's everyone feeling today? That's awesome. Anyone else divorced in here? I don't think so, you guys are so young. Anyone else divorced in here, you young-ass motherfucking crowd? Hey! Yeah? Are you? You're just lying. Just trying to make me feel good. I'm divorced. I'm divorced, you guys. I'm divorced. My ex, classic story, my ex ran off with a dancer in Cirque du Soleil. So real, typical. So obviously I watch hours of videos of her online, midair, full splits, right? Obviously, how could I not? And I was jealous. I was jealous. I mean, you guys are probably assuming it's because she stole my husband, which was a piece of it. But I'm also a dancer, and she did a lot of silks and pole dancing, and I have very large labia, so I just feel like I couldn't pole dance, because I would just get stuck in the pole. Like I'd chuck a leg around and just be like, so I was jealous. And he left me, this was a while ago, so I'm okay, you guys don't have to worry about me, but he left me in the dead of winter, and I was headed down into BART one day, headed to this job that I fucking hated at the time. So anyways, I walk down into the BART station, I'm all bundled up, walk down, and the BART train pulls away, and the advertisement behind it was actually her. It was KQED Arts, and she was just and I was like, no way, San Francisco. Targeted advertising for me to jump in front of the train? That's just too much tech. That's some fucked up shit. Wow. So I went into this pandemic single. Anyone else do that? No, you guys aren't young, you're not old, you're fucking just what? I mean, come on. Oh, you were guys baking bread and making succulent patties? What the fuck? I was single in the heart of the pandemic. I don't know if you guys remember, because it's been a while, but I was single when it was we were really afraid of each other. And I learned something fun about myself, that I'd rather risk dying alone on a ventilator than not have sex. That's what I learned. So I was out there in the streets, I was dating, And you go on some bullshit, social distance walk with someone in a park. You'd be in a mask, and you take the mask off, and you'd be like, ooh, I kind of like him. You kiss him, and then condoms were out the door. Right? I mean, come on. In the face of COVID, what's chlamydia really? That's kind of how I felt. But it was also a weird time, because my father was also he's kind of dying of cancer. He's dying of cancer. Okay, sorry. So my father was suffering from a hardcore cancer while COVID was happening. So every time I'd see him, I'd be in a mask, and I would be really, really careful. And so it was weird, because it's a weird time in my life that you'd be having sex with someone, and you were like, oh my God, instead of being I might get an STD, I was like, am I gonna kill my father? Fucked with my orgasms is how I'll put it. He doesn't know that. I didn't tell him. But I did. I'm in a new relationship. I mean, new. It's been 4 years. 3.5. But I met my current dude in that pandemic time, okay? Let me just say, he's a really good cook. I was looking for a warm meal. No restaurants were open. He trapped me, is what I'm going to say he did. But I met him in the heart of the pandemic. And so it was a funny time to meet somebody. But he had a fantastic line, you guys, because he took me home the first time. We're hooking up. I'll just throw you in the room. So we're hooking up. He's like, oh, yeah. He throws out this thing. Am I the first you've had since COVID? Richie wasn't. But what was I supposed to say? It was a pandemic. So I was like, oh yeah, buddy. You're a real Christopher Columbus. Why don't you plant that flag? Because men love to be the first at something. Don't they, ladies? A couple nods at the front, everyone else is on a date. Yeah, okay. Men love to pioneer us for some reason, right? If a woman has a good orgasm and a man's involved in even giving that orgasm, inevitably he'll always be like, so has anyone ever done that to you before? Like, yeah, since I was a teenager. Like, I am in constant awe of men's unfounded confidence. I can't imagine as a woman giving a man an orgasm and then being like, oh my God. It's like, has anyone ever done that to you before? A little more male laughter when I turn that one around, right? Crazy. I know, you guys sound like idiots when you talk like that. It's insane. But he charmed me with that line, the old "Am I the first?" Because it's been a while. Like, this is a very young crowd tonight, so I'm sure. Like, who's in their early 20s? Woo! What? Everyone else is like, I'm 22 and a half. I'm getting old. No, okay, so you're in your, how old are you?
I'm 22.
22, yeah, that's early 20s. No, that's early 20s. So you get that question all the time. Sorry, sir. You get that all the time. Anyone, they're like, oh yeah, and they'll get a little creative. You know, you're not 16. Oh yeah, and the person coming in your armpit and their fucking toe jam, whatever it is. This is it. I'm 39 years old, okay? So I don't get that question much anymore, right? The guy's hooking up with me, he's like, I'm not the first to be anything, you know? We're gonna shove nowhere, and then I will be the first. So he made me feel young again, right? I was like, ooh, the old am I the first question. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not shitting on myself when I say that. Like, I have a nice body, but it's like a vintage Louis Vuitton bag. Okay? Like, it's well oiled, but it's been to a couple secondhand shops. Like, I'm just saying, generally speaking, you don't find a bag like that and find a pocket on it that hasn't been used. I've been fucked everywhere. That's the joke. I do blame my mother for the way that I am. I'm just gonna throw that one out there. I blame my mom. I mean, she's a Christian woman. Okay, so she believes in human rights and like she's not like a Republican. She's just a Christian. Okay, but so she's a nice person. But what I'm trying to say is that all growing up, she always told me that my body is a temple. But then she also taught me everybody's welcome in church. So someone was like, Mom, how do I do that? So anyways, I met this current boyfriend, the old am I the first guy. So I met this current boyfriend in the pandemic, and when we met, I was in my late 30s, I was like 37 years old when we met, and he has 2 kids and a vasectomy. And at 37, that's funny? Sir, not even the joke. That's just setting you up like the reality. He's like, oh, this fucking chicken fucked up life. Yeah, that's like what's happening. I love that. Aren't vasectomies in style now? Whatever. So he has 2 kids and a vasectomy. Here I meet him in my late 30s, and I'm like, I kind of want a baby, and he's like, fuck. So he's, because obviously obsessed, in love. So he's a very smart man, though, right? And so he hands me an 8-week-old baby puppy, right? He's like, here, you kind of want a baby? Because I'm getting a dirty look from the women. I didn't say, like, I want a baby. I was like, I kind of want a baby. Like, I can't decide if I want to have children, you guys. Laughter's appropriate, ma'am. I'm 39 years old, and I can't decide. I was walking down the street the other day. I heard this clickety clink clink. I turned around. It was my IUD. Okay? Like, even my uterus was like, bitch, we're going to die alone. Like, it's ridiculous I can't decide. And I can't decide for good reasons. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's so expensive to have kids. It's so insanely expensive. My sister has 4 children. I try to be a good auntie. I took her 4 kids to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. You guys know that spot? I loaded them up in the car, took them down to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. I showed up. You know how much that fucking thing is per head? $59.95 a person, and that's before lunch. And her littlest one, she's like 4 years old. So she was just dancing around, playing with her dress. She started singing songs about me. I was like, hey, learn about the fucking fish! Shit cost me a rack, you know what I mean? So anyways, enough of the dirty look, right? So I meet this man, and I was like, I kind of want a baby, but I don't know. And so he was smart. He gave me an 8-week-old baby puppy. And oh my God, you guys, like this little puppy became my fucking baby because I wanted to eat him. And so like a month into owning him, my boyfriend's observing the two of us together, and he goes, you know, that dog thinks that he's above you in the pack. And I pulled that puppy off my nipple like, what are you talking about? And he was like, no, I'm serious. Like, this dog is dominating you. He's a little tiny puppy now, but he's going to get bigger. And you need to show him who's boss, because he clearly thinks that he's above you in the pack order. Like, he is dominating you in every way that he can. And he was like, listen to this. This is what you need to do. The next time that he acts out, you need to roll him on his back, and you need to hold him by his little neck, and you need to ground his ear, and you need to go, and show him who's boss. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. So the puppy and I were sleeping at my apartment one night, and it was just the two of us. And in the middle of the night, I hear this sound of like, you know, and that sound. And so I leap out of my bed. I sleep naked. So I leap out of my bed like, oh my God! I throw open the sliding glass door. I throw him out, and he pukes up an entire sock. You guys, this fucking dog ate a sock. So he pukes up an entire sock. Immediately after puking it up, tries to eat it again, like desperately. And so I go, no, and he goes, ah! And I was like, oh no. So I turn this little puppy over on his back, and I hold him by his neck, and I go, ugh. He did not give a fuck. He was like, so I was like, no. And he's like, he's like biting his little teeth. And then I just see my neighbor like walk back into kind of like it's a shared balcony situation. I was naked, just choking out a puppy. Sunrise. Like I'm training over here. No one's gonna dominate me. And I'm also a real estate agent. I really am. If anyone's looking for a house, please do talk to me after. No, I'm serious. That's not a joke. Don't laugh at me. People, I'm a real estate agent, for real. No, I just do comedy for the money. So I'm also a realtor, so I bring my dog around, like I brought him around to like job sites. So he was getting better and better, you know, after the choking out. He was getting better and better. So I would bring him around like to job sites. So there was this, I was remodeling this house for a client of mine. And so we were remodeling a bathroom. One day I had to meet a plumber and a drywall guy, like in this tiny space. So I bring my dog along with me, you know, to kind of protect me. And so he's coming at my heels, you know, and I show up with my dog because I'm like, oh, this is protection. This is good. I'm alone in a house with these two men. And so we're in this tiny bathroom. I'm talking to this guy and I'm talking to this other guy. And I think because my puppy was so used to me being like, like in his face, he was like, why are you paying so much attention to these other people? And he just started to hump my leg. And I was like, no, oh my God, you're supposed to be keeping these men's minds off of humping me. Not like, let's gang bang mom in the bathroom, you know? Stop, you're supposed to be my guard dog. What's wrong with you? So the very next day, I cut his balls off. Well, I took him to the vet. I neutered him, right? And I loaded him up in my car after that happened, and he was like groggy from the medication, and I loaded him up into my car, and he had his little cone on, and I leaned into his little cone, and I lifted up his ear, and I was like, you humped me once. Then I cut your balls off. I thought that was training. Anyways, then I'm gonna just end really dark. This is what I'm gonna do, you guys. I'm just gonna end really dark. That little puppy got cancer when he wasn't even 2 years old. It was fucked up. He got lymphoma cancer. His little lymph nodes blew up, and I kept him alive for as long as I could. It was like another 10 days on steroids. I kept him. He was riddled with it. There was no hope. So I kept him alive on steroids. But then he was on steroids, right? And so at this point he was 2 years old. So he wasn't humping anymore. He just humped me that one time, but he was a good boy. And I think because he was on steroids, like he had little roid rage. And same thing happened. I was having a conversation with someone one day, and he just started humping my leg, and I was like, no! And then it just happened to be that same evening, his lymph nodes blew back up, and the next morning was the morning that I had to put him down. And there I was crying over him. My boyfriend's crying. The doctor's there. We give him the final needle. And the comedian inside me just couldn't help it. You know, I just leaned into his little ear and I was like, you humped me twice. No, I've been Allison Hooker. You guys have been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Tiny pony.